We are back, and we are ready for our next fight. Making his way to the ring and fighting out of the red corner, it's Achraf Abdeddine.
Hello friends and welcome back to Thai Championship Boxing number 44. Our intermission is over and we got more fights ahead of us, starting off with Achraf Abdeddine making his way to the ring. Very excited for this fighter out of Aikido. And you can see right next to him, yes, that is in fact my co-commentator, Brent Hess, cornering him, the legend himself, preparing his fighter. Now, Achraf is somebody we've seen before, currently at 1-0, undefeated, and originally from Morocco, rocking that flag. This is somebody who's very much on the up and up, somebody that I have high stocks in, who time and time again has shown himself to be a very technical and very good fighter in terms of his fundamentals. Now, with only one fight in TCB under his belt, I'm really interested to see whether or not he's been developing his conditioning, whether or not he's been developing the physical aspect of his game. If he could bring a level of power here, especially in the 165-pound weight division that we've yet to see. That being said, he's got a difficult opponent ahead of him, but this 23-year-old has many more fights in the tank and a very long legacy to craft. So as we get ready for this matchup, I do want to reflect very quickly upon Achraf's movement over here to TCB. This is somebody who is coming through as a truly tried and dyed-in-the-wool Muay Thai fighter first and foremost. Of course, Brent Hess, an expert in all things MMA, in all things martial arts more generally, but in a lot of ways, Aikido has been developing a lot of dedicated Muay Thai fighters, people who are looking to get into the boxing dimension as well, and I think that it's those elements that are going to make Achraf a standout here in this current matchup. As I said before, 1-0 right now. There's also what we see in a lot of younger fighters who get off to this hot start. A little bit of desperation in there. People redouble their efforts, wanting to protect that undefeated streak. And while sometimes we have seen that lead to some strategic missteps, maybe you're overplaying your hand, coming out a little bit too fast, Achraf is someone who's been cool, calm, and collected in that debut. And I think that that is going to be something that will continue here and maybe bring him to that second victory. Blessing the ring, ready to get started. Start back over to Chris Fuller to introduce his opponent.
And his opponent, making his way to the ring and fighting out of the blue corner, it's Noah Azzome.
Noah Azzome, as his matchup, though, is going to be one for the ages. Of course, Azzome coming in, not necessarily with a record under his belt here in TCB, but you can see all the swagger and confidence in the world coming out to TV off. From Montgomery, Maryland, he's fighting out of Capital MMA, a gym with a real run of excellence. Time and time again, these guys have brought people to a great name-making debuts, and I think that Azzome is going to be the fifth at this point in a long line of excellent fighters coming out of Capital MMA, making their debut here in TCB just within the past year or so. And so, of course, this is going to be a tough matchup as Abdeddine has already shown that excellence with a victory in his belt. But I do think that Noah is somebody who could quickly climb the ranks here and maybe even make it over for a title fight. And what is currently one of the most competitive divisions in all of TCB. So as we get prepared here, reflecting back upon the overall stats, 165 and 165 as the official weigh-ins is going to be perfectly matched alongside heights at 6 foot to 6 foot. We've had small height divisions in some of our previous fights alongside that one standout in Jacob Aerosmith versus Carlos Quivado, but I do love when we see two people of very similar statures take to the fight where it really is all about style and what they want to make as their brand of Muay Thai versus just what gifts they were given and how they are leveraging them. And so this is going to be one for the ages. I can feel it. Let's throw it back over to Chris Fuller to make this one official.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for 3 2-minute rounds in the TCB 165-pound division. It is brought to you by our friends at Titan Mechanical and Plumbing, leaders in mechanical services. And now, starting out, fighting out of the red corner, standing 6 foot tall and weighing in at 164 pounds, fighting out of Aikido with a record of 1 win and no defeats, it's Achraf Abdeddine. And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, Standing 6 foot tall and weighing in at 163 pounds, fighting out of Capital MMA, he is making his TCB debut. It's Noah Azzome! Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for 3 2-minute rounds in the TCB 165-pound division. It is brought to you by Titan Mechanical and Plumbing, and your referee is Mike Weber.
And this is a matchup in which not only do we have that even matching of stature, but we have that same willpower to win. You can see it in their eyes. Both of these fighters are ready to go. Abdeddine basically leaping out of his corner here. As we do have Mr. Weber, our wonderful referee, getting us started off, and there's a glove touch immediately into a trading of kicks, and I love just how snappy Abdeddine has always been. The technical side of his fighting oftentimes not only comes from decent guard, but also his willingness to buy space with very fast kicks. That being said, I love the fact that as a response, Azzome is not afraid whatsoever. He's willing to go in, trade blow for blow, and in fact, I think he got a really good smack upside the head versus Abdeddine as we entered into that first clinch. It was broken up, and now we are moving into a second one here. Hopefully we're going to get a little bit more distance between the two of them as they realize that given how close the torsos are, there isn't going to be a whole lot of damage to be had during these clinch scenarios. In fact, that's going to be Abdeddine backing off to begin with, realizing that he wants to spar at range. Good job arcing over that left arm of Azzome to start this exchange off, and Abdeddine actually sees an open to kind of crash back in. Abdeddine showing that he doesn't necessarily want to be in that clinch position, just kind of waiting for the breakup. He's bringing those arms away instead of trying to force the bodies close together, which is something you see out of some of the more defensive fighters here in TCB.
Well, Abdeddine threw a beautiful right hand on the exit on that clinch over there in the opposite corner. If he's going to exit and throw fire like that, it could be lights out here pretty soon.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to his technical strengths. He knows when to fight, when to back off, and he's doing so in such a way that he doesn't get overwhelmed. In fact, right now, it seems like he's beginning to build a mounting advantage that Azzome hasn't really adapted to. That guard is beginning to slip from the blue corner, and look at how well these hooks are just making way past that high Muay Thai guard.
Yeah, he's taking a lot of punishment, but it's not showing on him. He's weathering the storm.
And I think that right now, given the lack of work rate we're seeing out of Azzome here in round number 1, this could be worrisome. A possible finish on the horizon if Abdeddine just keeps walking away with exchange after exchange. Finally, we see the leg raised and a really good attempt at a head kick out of Azzome, but it may be too little too late, at least for round number 1.
Beautiful round 1 out of the red corner there. Wow.
And this is what I love to see out of fighters who, they come out swinging their debut, they get that first win. Sometimes the pressure gets to these guys, Chris. We've seen it a few times where they overplay their hand, they think that maybe they have a name to make, and they overinvest, they get gassed round number 1, or they just lose the technique that brought them to this position to begin with. Abdeddine is not like that at all. This is a rock-solid mentality, instilled, of course, by Brent Hess.
Yeah, I'm really wondering what the blue corner is over there telling their guy. He absorbed a lot of punishment in that first round, and it was just an onslaught of offense out of the red corner.
Yeah, and of course, credit to Capital MMA. They've raised real great fighters in the past, and I really do think that Azzome has the foundation that it takes to really make a mark here in TCB. Unfortunately, it could be the case that Abdeddine is just too much of a meat grinder to start off with.
The only thing I'm seeing, though, that is a little bit worrisome for me, big, deep breaths coming out of Abdeddine right now, and it looks like Azzome is good to go.
That being said, Abdeddine really kind of rights the ship immediately and gets right back to his high-velocity workload. It could just be the case, hey, this is my downtime. I'm going to take those deep breaths, get as much oxygen in my system as possible, because I smell blood in the water. I'm looking for a finish. And with a head kick like that, it could be over in an instant.
He's attacking every level. Every level.
Oh, the liver shots.
He goes high, he goes mid, he goes low, and then back to the middle. And like it's crazy the volume of shots that he's throwing and landing beautifully.
And this is that first big filter that you see in TCB fighters, especially those making their debut. How do they withstand getting hit not in the face once, but getting hit in the face multiple times in quick succession? I think that right now with Azzome, he's trying to remember his training, trying to remember the fundamentals of the sport, but it's just so hard to do when there's this flurry of blows coming his way. Abdeddine backing off a little bit now, trying to work a bit more surgically. Azzome's trying to rise to the occasion. We are seeing a trading of blows, but look at how his torso sways back on attempted punches. He knows that Abdeddine's going to fire right back in kind, and therefore the blue corner is afraid to overinvest.
Yeah, and he's not blue corner's not throwing it.
Oh my goodness.
What he's throwing has nothing behind it. He's just kind of pawing, trying to get his spacing right, but he is just met with an onslaught every single time.
Yeah, Abdeddine, the Moroccan, is absolutely terrifying. Actually going to push back away from a relatively limp attempt from the blue corner at going into clinch. Abdeddine wants to finish this not only on the feet, but he wants to finish this at range. Another knee as we do finally see that clinch, but unfortunately, Azzome's also just not being able to buy the kind of space and defense he wants off the clinch. He's keeping those torsos apart, and in kind, it's Abdeddine who's immediately just laying into the corner yet again. I'm seeing a full loss of really any attempt at moving forward from Azzome, and Abdeddine is just running away with the second round as well.
And Chris, you touched on a very good point just now. It's like he
the disrespect at the end. I'm sorry to cut you off, Chris.
No, absolutely. It was like he couldn't figure Abdeddine out, and while he's standing there trying to get his bearings and trying to figure out what's going on, he's just getting pounded in the face and in the body and in the legs. I mean, just brutal 2 rounds right there. Something big has to come out of the blue corner right now for him to have any shot in this fight.
But Abdeddine hasn't taken damage. That's the scary part. I'm not going to say Azzome's got no good shots in, particularly in that round number 1 when he had that full tank of gas. He was able to trade back. And Abdeddine is at a point right now where he's just saying, you know what? I'm dropping my guard if it means that my fists are meeting face. And so there is a chance that maybe we could get an overplay. But Abdeddine, the consummate professional, has been doing such a good job of finding every opening under the sun. And so, as you said, unless it's a miraculous occurrence, I'm not seeing this representative of Capital MMA to be able to take it over Maikitos.
Well, part of the problem is he's not able to close the distance. And how many Muay Thai bouts have you seen that have stayed at distance this long with no clinch? And the problem is the blue corner is just not able to get in there.
Yeah, I agree.
Every time he takes a step forward, he pays for it.
All right, well, Abdeddine going to start with a good teep.
Oof.
Azzome really knows no other way but than to move forward very slowly, keeping that guard up. But big pick. Abdeddine doesn't get as clean of a sweep as he wanted as a statement maker, but still, the leg has caught. And what that shows is just a lack of velocity coming out of Azzome's side. If it's slow enough coming up, it's also slow enough on impact that Abdeddine is fine to continue to just take these blows and work forward. That being said, nice little pawing motion off that leading arm means that Azzome is almost getting in there. Abdeddine stumbles, but what it just leads to is a clinch where with the torsos this close, nobody's doing much damage. It's going to be broken up, and now it's a question of getting back in again.
Abdeddine is violent, Chris. It is just, he's a bully. Oh.
Yep, and now he's just bringing the sauce with him as well, spinning back fist. And when Azzome can't even lean in, can't do anything except for just stand there blank-eyed as the opponent's pulling out the flashiest moves in the book, you know that it's over. Well, it may not be over in terms of damage, but it's over in terms of willpower.
I would really like to see the box score on this fight and see how many punches were thrown, how many punches were landed.
Oh my goodness.
It is just completely one-sided.
Yeah, Azzome at this point is mostly just a plank of wood, standing there trying to keep those arms up, throws himself into an unwilling clinch. Abdeddine happy to just lean on his opponent. He knows that this is one. He knows that Azzome has nothing left. Abdeddine just wants to finish it up against what basically amounts to a sparring dummy.
And guys at home, we have been talking one-sided about this fight the whole time because obviously it's been a one-sided fight. We're not taking anything away from Azzome. He is a tough kid to be able to weather the storm, but this is just an incredible display of offense by the red corner. This is one of the most impressive flurries of offense that I've seen in TCB.
Clappers coming out. Azzome needs to try to finish it here and now if he wants any shot on the scorecard. But unfortunately, he's backed up against the ropes, and Abdeddine will just not let up. There is the bell, and there's another victory for Maikido.
Chris, he could have had, conceivably, he could have had 3 10-8 rounds right there.
Oh, yes.
That was impressive.
Utter demolition. Unfortunately, it wasn't as clean of a debut as what Abdeddine got, but we could see why Achraf is just an absolute monster, ready to take this division for all that it's worth. And while I think that Azzome definitely has the chance to bring it back if he revisits TCB, that's a rough way to start off your career.
So here's what we have to do. When Brent gets back up in the booth, we have to downplay it.
Oh, 100%.
we can't tell him how great he is.
Chris, I don't have enough space up here. His head, after he became the recruiter for Cagezilla and the Booker for Cagezilla, I basically have to stand all the way off in the corner, and I can't see anything anymore.
Yeah, but all credit to Makito and to Achraf there. Beautiful, beautiful 3 rounds of just absolute offense.
And I love the fact that Azzome, of course, paying respects in the same way that Abdeddine did, who went all the way over to that blue corner to congratulate Azzome on his debut. It's something that I love to see. It's a constant thing in TCB. It's a community here, bringing Muay Thai to the masses, and the crowd loved the showing that we saw, specifically out of Abdeddine for this one.
He is an absolute buzzsaw. Beautiful.
All right, well, I think that this one I can finally call confidently. Unfortunately, if we are going back to that sports betting analogy, I would be making a 5 cents and maybe a can of Pepsi off this one. But Achraf Abdeddine coming through with one of the most withering displays of technical prowess and ferocity that we've seen so far. This kid from Morocco, ready to put another notch in the victory column. Our wonderful ring announcer and our corner commentator, Chris Fuller, making his way over to bring this one as official. But just like him, I'm also excited to see what the exact scorecard is going to be. I could see 10-8s all the way through. I mean, as much as Azzome was showing some promise in that first round, unfortunately, it just did not translate into much in the way of damage supported across Achraf Abdeddine, nor was it something that he was able to sustain. So there's a lot of dimensions that, of course, the blue corner can still work upon, but the fundamentals are there. Let's be honest. Anyone is going to look like that in the face of Abdeddine. He's one of the strongest fighters that we have in this division right now. I think that's going to be reflected here in the decision coming through from Chris Fuller.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. Judge 1 has scored this bout 30-26. Judge 2 scored the bout 30-27. And Judge 3 scored the bout 30-26, all in favor of your winner by unanimous decision. And out of the red corner, it's Achraf Abdeddine.
The reign of terror continues for Achraf Abdeddine, an absolutely excellent fighter. This is somebody that I believe is championship material. I'm calling it now. I've had many badly called shots tonight, but this is one I'm telling you about. Achraf Abdeddine will be holding the belt here in TCB very soon. But another called shot is that I believe we're going to see a lot more out of Noah Azzome going forward. This is a fighter with a lot of promise and a great spirit behind him. We're going to throw it over to a quick break, and when we return, it's going to be more TCB action.